Welcome to the Fit Affiliate podcast, where we talk about behavior and behavior-based conversations as they relate to CrossFit affiliate owners and coaches. My name's Lisa Hetherington, and I'm your co-host. Sitting alongside me are Tony and Chuck, the founders of Fit Affiliate. And here we are again. Welcome.
And I was waiting for you to start recording because I wanted to comment on that last thing that you said. It's not about trying to create a reaction, it's that we actually give a shit about delivering value. That's very different.
It. So, yes. And on that note, we will start out the it's getting harder to herd the cats. Welcome back to another episode of the Fit Affiliate podcast. Here with my two of my favorite humans, Mr. Chuck and Tony. Here we are again. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Thanks for blowing smoke.
Thanks for what?
Blowing smoke there.
Well, we've got a long day of calls ahead of us together, so I figure let's just start it on the right note, and hopefully we'll end it on the right note.
Trying to butter us up, I see, for your own coaching call.
Yeah,
that's right. I'm like, what do you got something on the scorecard you're trying to like get ahead of now? Like,
yeah. Let's just be nice to them all day. I thought I'd try a new tactic actually, is just be, warm and nice and fuzzy. So maybe Tony will pick up on that, decide that's what we do. All right, today, gentlemen, in the spirit of continuing of landing topics on you live, I have two for you to choose from today. So, both relevant. One, the lack of understanding and awareness for affiliate owners around forecasting and budgeting for equipment and looking at actually money over the whole year rather than just the immediate bank account, or our favorite topic at the moment, and why everyone goes on holidays at this time of year and thinks that there's no point continuing to run their business for the next month because no one's coming.
They're not unrelated.
I was going to say, so we're talking about the same thing.
There you go. It's about,
It's the buzzer. I want to hit the buzzer. Same thing.
All right, well, let's go. Let's roll on that. Where do you want to start with it? Well, I guess we start with people not thinking that there's no point even being around this time of year. They mentally switch off. They kind of don't even have any new initiatives. And then come, generally they start thinking, I better promote something, I guess, because they assume no one's coming. It's the holidays.
I don't think that they do that. I think that they do that. I think that they actually become aware at this time of year that like nobody's here. Class attendance might be down, or like new leads is down, or new sales is essentially down, or cancellations are up, or things of that nature. I don't think that anybody intentionally tries to take the time off now. They took the time off before this, but that's where, like I said, the two things are linked together. I think now is one of those where it becomes very crystal clear that like things are different. I'm just not sure that they draw the correlation to the fact that it's because of their effort, not just because it's some sort of corollary environmental impact.
And not that it's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, for the health and longevity of the business, objectively, it's a bad thing. But curating the vision and paying attention to like why you got into this and what you want to do sets a very different tone, because most people didn't seek to own and operate a business that sought to succeed financially. They end up in a place where it's very easy and simple to be indifferent about a lot of those things, like planning offers in advance, about looking at really building true money models, paying attention to profit margin, writing content over and over and over and over again, educating people over and over and over again to help them make better decisions for themselves so that they can transact with the gym owners and the coaches as the service providers who solve their problems. Most people just didn't really ever think like, I want to own a business so I can succeed in business. They're like, I love fitness, and this is a way that I can share that love with everybody else. And so I think for a lot of them, that needs to be the reframe, because most of us still have plenty of work to do on our stories and our trauma and our baggage with money and our beliefs about like how dollars work and what those dollars mean, because that game is never over. And so maybe that idea of, hey, I can't tell you how many times Tony and I have taken consult calls, or somebody's like, I'm not in it for the money, or I'm not looking to make $1 million, or I'm not trying to get rich. I'm like, cool, absolutely fine. I genuinely don't care. Do you want to help people? Because if you can make that switch in your brain that you bailing for like the third and fourth like pieces of the year where like people need the most help to make the best decisions for themselves, you're letting them down. And your bank account is just the objective scoreboard that shows that. Like, look at what Greg and Lauren did with free workouts posted every day, still being posted every day. How many people as business owners have built a habit with the behavior of the business as a mechanism where they have done a task every day consistently without fail since its inception?
Apart from programming, no.
Well, and even then.
No, that's done in advance. You know, actually, on reflection, it's There's not something that's done. I'm just thinking back to my own journey in the affiliate. Yeah, there were very rare times where I was super consistent with the things that to do and to plan and to schedule for sure.
Well, I think if you look at the timeline of affiliation, so to speak, since like the first affiliate to like where we are now, we've definitely gone through some life cycles, right? Like there's having been a part of the early generation where it was like, what do I do with my hands, to like where we are now it is essentially a very, very different reality. And the reason I mentioned that is that there was, in the early years, there was a notion, and albeit I would at this point call it a toxic notion that existed, in that there was this belief, this pride that, and I think I had said it, I don't know how many times, espoused it, that like, this is a business that it doesn't run like a normal business. It's unconventional. It defies. And in many ways, there was some truth to that. But I think a lot of people took that and ran with it. And I mean, even myself, I think, would say that I was guilty of it to some degree. And that, like, this business was built on relationships, not money. But those two things are not mutually exclusive. And now, having hindsight, being crystal clear, you can look back and see so many things across so many affiliates. And there's this belief, this undertone, this underpinning, so to speak, of all affiliates, where it's like, I think it's a desire for that to be true, that like they want to own a business that is not a conventional business, because frankly, that would afford them the ability to know nothing about business. And so they're safer there. But here's the thing. If you have an LLC, C Corp, S Corp, whatever you are, and you pay taxes, you're a business, right? How you do that business is very much individual to what you're selling and how you'd like to sell it and how you'd like to conduct your business every single day. But aside from that, pretty much everything else is standardized, right? Like there's still marketing, there's still sales. I know everybody just tuned out as soon as I said that, right? There's still operations, right? And those things still exist. And for many years, I think we all hoped that wasn't going to be the case. But like, it was just the lie that we all collectively told ourselves, and perpetuated. And I think that leads to a lot of these bigger problems that most people are just like, they don't want to do goal setting. They don't want to do year-end reviews. They don't want to do projections. They don't want to do accounting. They don't want to do these things because like those feel businessy and they feel like things I don't know. And like Chuck and I had a conversation this morning about that. Like it's the very nature of, if you were pursuing fitness and you realize you know nothing about how to snatch, you just decide, I don't like this, I'm not going to do it. You will, like many people in fitness, try to find as many ways as possible to substantiate the reason why you don't need to do snatches, right? But like, we know one thing to be true, that's bullshit, right? So, and it's the same thing. And we see it all the time. You got a lot of affiliates trying to not do muscle ups and not do snatches. Figuratively, of course.
And like it plays out, and like you see it play out in the community in the open, right? Like, hey, here's a test to see where you're at. And they're like, ooh, I don't like the score I get when I take the test. And it's like, well, did you study? Did you do homework? Did you practice? And they're like, well, no, because it's hard and yucky and I don't like it. Be like, okay, well then you can't logically and rationally sit in your fucking car crying in the parking lot because like you still failed to do double unders and toes bar successfully if you didn't give a shit about them until like 4 days ago. And it plays out in the business side of it. Like Tony was like, people avoid sales.
Mm.
It's like, okay, that's fine. Like, avoid it. Great. But if you're unwilling to find a way to solve the problem, either through yourself or someone else, then don't be mad when the test, your bank account, your income statement, your P&L, like, don't be upset when the test is a score that you don't like.
Mm.
And that's okay. If you want to be like, you know what, dude, I want to just have a garage gym in a cul-de-sac and share fitness with 20 or 30 friends and family members. Awesome. Be honest about it. Lean into it. But you also can't be mad that you have trouble getting approved for financing on a new car, or you don't know how you will ever have a down payment for a house. You have to accept one end of the continuum.
You have to accept the consequences, right? And don't be upset when you can't raise rates because you filled your gym with people who only want to pay you $125 because you created a $125 a month experience. And like, that's on you. And we hear it all the time. People won't pay more, or people are mad that I raised my prices. That couldn't possibly be true if you created an environment that was worth hundreds of dollars. Like, and I think every CrossFit affiliate, for the most part, would love to basically show up with a pitchfork in a torch outside of every single like other micro gym, these boutique ones where people are paying $400 or $500 a month for spin and things of that nature, right? Like, be like, you idiots, you're robbing. But like, the thing is they're creating an environment that people are willing to pay $500 for. And yeah, I know, and through all your pedantic nature, that like, it's a lesser level of fitness, no doubt about it. We know that to be true, but guess what? They're voting with their dollars. Like, and so the difference is those people played business better than you did. You played fitness, but you can't be mad when they're crushing you in business, but you didn't play the game.
And you could still play the game detached from like the dollar amounts as the mechanism, because like that's what got all of us here, that it was so successful. Is like, it wasn't about the dollars in CrossFit initially. It was like, let me tell you about CrossFit. Let me educate you about fitness. I have a moral obligation to make this make sense to you. And there was an environment and an atmosphere and a culture and a community that were curated very deliberately that didn't exist elsewhere, that made it disproportionately valuable to get to that stage. And like, kudos, because had CrossFit not done its thing, I would venture to guess we never would have seen a Hotworks or a F45 or an Orange Theory or any of these other pieces. But they're like, hey, here's what you guys did really, 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 really well innately. Here's where we can just kind of apply it to a little bit different of a context of business, but like, you can still go the other direction if instead of focusing on just the exercise, you can focus on the experience the exercise is a part of. You can win both games, and there is no trade-off. Like, which of your clients is any worse off in their client journey by having a better experience? What is the downside of having a nicer, cleaner bathroom that's actually appointed, like somebody gives a shit? And the show me your bathroom and I'll show you the success of an affiliate, like, great, that worked when everybody was in industrial parks and you had to fight a crackhead to get from your car to like med balls. But if you're trying to, move your ACV to like the $300 to $400 range, like, does this seem like the kind of bathroom, regardless of how fucking clean it is, does this seem like the kind of bathroom that people that spend $300 to $400 a month are happy to step into, would willingly step into, would be proud to be a part of? Or are they like, man, I sure love my coach and these exercises have changed my life, but like, I still kind of hover over the toilet seat. Like, that's fucked up. That's part of the problem. So, virtuosity. Like, dude, if you really claim to care as much about like the exercise and the CrossFit, the fitness side of it, in spite of all the dollars that are not good motivators for you, are you doing everything you can to make an environment that's as good as possible to eliminate the reasons for people to say no, or to quit on you, or to quit on the gym, because ultimately they're quitting on themselves? How hard are you actually trying at the one piece that you do profess to care about?
Right. And I think too, it's often overlooked, those small pieces. Like when you talk about a member experience, people start to go, oh, well, it's, roll out the red carpet, all the big things, rather than going, do you have this on hand for them? Do you have this? Do you offer this? It's,
we all try to shirk it. right? I mean, it's at every opportunity. We want it to be okay to be able to provide the opportunity that we do because of the level that we're playing at, right? Like, Chuck kind of nailed it with the old bathrooms in the old warehouse and the crackhead filled parking lot days. But it's true, right? And so, I'm glad that you guys take great pride in cleaning up your warehouse bathrooms. And I know that you want it to be okay because it's the bathroom that you got. And I also know that it's okay that you don't want to get rich doing this thing. And I'm okay with your altruism. The thing is that you need to be able to charge more money so that you can provide a better experience. It's not about you putting gazillions of dollars in your bank account, which I do hope you do because you'll do this for longer. But like, guess what? If your bathroom sucks, you got to build a new one. You got to expand it. You've got to renovate it. You've got to add things on. And you can't do that if you're not forecasting and you're not preparing and you're not planning. If you're playing in response instead of proaction, which 99.9% of the affiliates we meet with are, right? They're attempting to play with the dollars that they've already earned as opposed to trying to figure out how to earn more to take care of the future. Like, you're not going to be able to build the bathroom. You're not going to be able to change that front door experience, which is so vital, right? Like, Orange Theory showed up and stole all of your lunches. Yeah, they suck at fitness overall, but guess what? They don't open an affiliate unless or a gym, sorry. They don't open a new location unless it has 400 members. They won't open it. Like, that's 4 times the size, essentially, of the average affiliate when it opens, and it's 300 people bigger than the average affiliate. That's just on
at twice the ACV.
In half the level of fitness. I get it. Those people are way less fit than your classes are. I know it. That's why you have to charge more money. You're giving a better service, charge for it, but you got to give a better experience.
Yeah, you have to earn it. You need to charge more or don't, but I would recommend yes, because it's a virtuous cycle that makes everything better, including like them reaching their goals. But if you really need to charge more, you need to work to earn it. And that's where people run into issues, because we've seen just in the 15 years that Tony and I have like floated through the industry and through the affiliates, there is absolutely no middle ground. There are 2 different versions of a price increase. There is one version where everybody goes, it's about fucking time. You guys are too good to be charging as little as you have. And I have been waiting for you to make the right decision because you deserve the success that you are trying to create. And we are happy to pay you for the value and the experience. Or there's everybody else that raises their prices. And the DMs and the email inbox and the phone absolutely light on fire because they're like, excuse me, you want to charge me more money, but there's cobwebs all over the kettlebells, and I don't know the last time somebody scrubbed the toilet. And I often send emails that don't get replied to for 72 plus hours. And you post on social media twice a week. Like, you're not playing the game at a level to care about me as the client, to care about me as the consumer, to really deliver the best service and experience possible. So, like, no, I cannot justify these additional dollars.
And we know you're human, right? We know that every one of you as an affiliate owner is doing the best you can. The central question that I have to that is, I appreciate that. Who's holding you accountable? And there's the central problem. And there's where we built the entire company from. Because I know what it's like, right? At the end of the day, you're just like, I'll get to those kettlebells next week, right? Like, and inevitably, like, you have a million things in your inbox. I know that. You have a ton of things on your desk. You have looming debts and you have all these other things to respond to because, again, you are living in reaction. You are responding to yesterday, not planning for tomorrow. And that's it, right? We have to get you guys to intention so that you guys are being intentional, not reactionary. And that's really the big central difference in most affiliates. And the big reason for that is that nobody is holding you accountable. And by accountable, I don't mean giving you these standards of excellence and expectation. It's literally just saying, Lisa, what's your version of excellence? And then somebody asking you every single week, what did you do to get closer to that? If nothing, we need to look at your actions. What can we change? What can we do this week to make sure that we get you closer to ideal and further from response? And And that's really all it comes down to. We're not trying to be unrealistic when we say these things to you guys and tell you that like you have to build $1 million facilities and multi-million dollar experiences. Sure, if you have the money to do that, that would be awesome. Is it necessary to provide fitness? No, we're on the same team. You can absolutely, I engage in and pursue a level of fitness that is probably much greater than the average person. With I think I have a couple of kettlebells over here, some dumbbells, and there's usually some rings hanging above, and that's it. And I sit on a bike regularly. Like that's it. You don't need much to provide fitness. That's not what this is about. What this is about is that you must compete with the masses. Unfortunately, the days of being the only boutique gym, the only micro gym, that the 15-year ago affiliate, when like the only other option was a Gold's, right? Like those days are over. Now you have to compete with all those people who are pursuing an experience in an environment that they're after, the Orange Series, the F45, et cetera. They're pursuing those things because they're beating the doors off of you guys. And that sucks for the pursuit of the cause of CrossFit, which is that like we need to solve the world's biggest problem, which is obesity. That means we have to get more people in the door. And in order to do that, you have to beat them at their own game. And guess what that's not going to be? Discounting the shit out of your rates. All you're doing is making it look like a very different experience to their boutique level experience. So when somebody else is $300 a month and you think your marketing strategy, your big idea is like, we're going to be 100, all they're going to say is, ooh, you're a discount option. And that sucks because you're not. You're the best solution to all of their problems. I know that. You know that. We know that. They don't. And that's the problem.
And I think too that part of that is when affiliate owners can fall in the trap of going, well, we coach and they don't. So, people need to understand the value of coaching, which, clearly somebody outside is not necessarily going to understand that till they experience it. But that's not the only part of that member experience, that value, that point of difference. And
everything
we just tend to fall back to that.
Everything that happens in an affiliate crushes anything that happens in any other gym. Every single time, even when done terribly. The problem is they don't know that. And they're not shopping for it. And when they have the opportunity to buy the solution that they need, which CrossFit would provide for them, they buy the alternative because they're better at it than you are. That sucks.
And they're better at telling the stories, and we don't tend to tell the stories except to say, well,
no, they got fucking like $200 million marketing budgets. That's really all it comes down to, right? Like they have more money than you do. They can spend more money to acquire a customer than you can. I don't want CrossFit affiliates to be $200, $300, $400 a month. I would love for them to be $100 a month or less, right? But the bottom line is that client acquisition cost is a factor. And somebody who can pay more to acquire a customer than you can is going to beat you in business every single time. And they are. And that's the bottom line. Those boutiques, those new pop-ups have beaten the crap out of you guys because they can pay 10 times as much to acquire a customer than you can because you have no margins on your profits and on your memberships. The rates have to go up so that you can afford at least to make some noise in the market to get people in the door to be like, this is the best decision I've ever made because I know that to be true. You know that to be true. Every affiliate knows that to be true. We need them to know it. That's what they need to know. So back to your root sort of question, which is that like, how do we get to this point at the end of the year? Like the reason why this is the slow time for every single affiliate is that you don't have enough money because you didn't spend the rest of the year figuring out how to make more money. And now when it's time for you to get new customers that you need just to break even, you're competing with the people that are also in the industry who are spending hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to get the attention of new people. The time to make sure December was a success and January is a success was in September and October. But that requires planning. That requires accountability. That also requires you to charge more money so that you can pay more money per customer to acquire them.
And I think,
and you need to be realistic about have you really earned those extra dollars from a perception sense? And that's important to clarify because we firmly believe that everybody in the market of CrossFit as an affiliate should charge more money because of nothing more than the value they provide. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You change people's lives in an immeasurable way that is different than anything else that has existed prior or I could ever imagine would exist post. And even if the organization fell to pieces, like all of us would still be around. Be like, I don't know what else to call it. I mean, whatever, the company's gone, but fuck, I'm a CrossFitter. Those things are always so crazy valuable. You can't understand that until you make it to the other side of it. And you can't effectively make it to the other side of it unless you start. And for a lot of people, they won't start or stay because the experience and the price point don't meet. The experience isn't good enough for the client. And because the experience isn't good enough for the client, the affiliate owner and the coach can't price appropriately for themselves. And it all falls in on itself. And it's so sad because it shouldn't be.
And it's that perception of the value is a big thing. I know that one of the exercises I looked at was, I thought I'll get this fancy new flooring for the gym, and I priced it out, and I was like, I'll know how much that is, but the members will go, oh, the floor looks nice on the first day. Then after that, it's just where they lose a bit of their soul. So instantly, if I say I spent $7,000 on flooring, they're like, and whereas, oh, look at all these other things or look at these other services, it's something tangible for them that creates that perception of value rather than you need to plan and structure and target what you're going to do versus, where you're going to get the best bang for your buck in that perception of value.
There's two parts to that, right? The first part is that the market has spoken, right? So here's the Chuck's central frustration, which is, raising the rates and the experience. Like, the market has spoken, and the market will speak on any single subset. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about shoes or fitness, but and the market has spoken, and that the market value of CrossFit appears to be somewhere around $125 to $150 of acceptable expenditure. The key differentiator from there forward, meaning upward in price point, is how well you do what you do. And some of that, yes, is how well you run a class, but it's the other stuff too. It's not how many L3 coaches you have and L4 coaches. Like, up to a certain point, it's kind of like, there's kind of like a bell curve, right? It's the same thing with like income. Once you get past like $70,000, your quality of life doesn't improve anymore. Once you get past a certain level of coaching, it almost becomes too obsessive, pedantic, and otherwise that like it actually ends up being self-defeating. As long as people can provide a safe, informative, engaging, exciting, and fun environment, you're doing all right. Shift the focus. Look in the corners, look in the dark spots. And so that's like the first big part of it, that like the market has spoken. It's your job to raise the market rate. We need to collectively do that, because otherwise the other options, everybody's going to start discounting down. And then imagine how shitty that is for CrossFit as a whole, is that like we're now a $70 option against these $400 spin memberships. And that part of it, sucks. But in that, I think, is where people don't necessarily start to look in terms of, what do I need to do? How do I need to do it? And that's the first side of it.
Yeah, it's that sort of going, okay, I'm going to plan. What am I planning for, and how do I go about that? And that's again the power of having a coach, someone to keep you accountable, to ask you the questions. Like the example we started with earlier was, you want to run an excellent affiliate, Lisa. So, are your actions equaling that? But then the next question you will usually ask me, so what are the actions you're going to take this week? And I'm going to come up with my things that I'm going to do. And then the next week you're going to say, did you do them? If not, why not? Did it get the results? Well, no, it didn't get the results. Well, what are you going to do differently?
Right. And like, go for it. No, you had a second.
I said, and that
I'll let you finish your sequence.
The second part of that, right? Which is that like, you want to do these things, whoever you are, the affiliate owner, and you have these goals and these dreams, etc. Business is expensive. Starting an affiliate's not. I get it, right? Like, it was $1 in a dream. It was an empty credit card and a couple of $1,000, and
I love
Bob's your uncle.
Our brains are melded,
right? And so, like, and that's where it starts and stops. Because here's what I do know, and this is fact: I have reviewed countless affiliates now at this point, and not one of them, not a single one of them, can tell me what their cost of doing business was. I have not had one yet. Some have been pretty effective, and like they knew what their leases were and their utilities, but like very few people can tell me what it actually costs to provide the level of service that you intend to provide. Not that you're actually providing, but what is it going to cost you to buy those floors, put those lights up, change that front door, remodel that bathroom? Those are all costs of doing business for you. Those are not things that we just spend the profit on. Those are things that you have to prepare and plan for and account for and align for. And your intentions have to match that. That's where things go wrong. Most affiliates just respond to their bills, their debts. And they're like, oh, this was way more expensive than I thought it was every single month in order. And that's a problem. If you don't know what it's costing you to run your ideal business, you're going to settle for the bare minimum of your business. And that's really what's gotten everybody to believe the market rate is $125, because that's really what it's worth, because everybody's playing at that same reactive game and they don't plan for their ideal business. Instead, they operate with what they have and what's left over, and that's never enough.
And so,
true. Yep. Go ahead, Chuck.
Go for it, Lisa.
No, I was just going to say that.
Finish your. It's true.
From my experience in the affiliate, it's like, oh, you kind of walk around the room going, well, don't let that break right now, because I need to handle this other thing that's broken already, and you just don't break. Hang on until you think that it then becomes the priority, rather than planning ahead, going, well, in June we're going to look to upgrade XYZ just as a matter of course. But you kind of walk around hoping that things don't break, because X amount of dollars has come in, and that's, you haven't forecast, you haven't planned for it, you don't have a equipment replacement funds, you don't have any of that stuff. You just
don't know
have
what you
what's
don't
come
know.
in. Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, everybody wants to tell you what you should know, and there's nothing really wrong with that. But like, somebody has to ask you what you do know, right? And I think that's the only thing, when we built the business in an industry of one, because there's nobody else doing what we do, that's essentially what we set out to do. Instead of tell you what to do, we decided that we were just going to spend the time asking you what you are doing. And that's important, because maybe you need more leads. Maybe you need to raise your rates. Maybe you need to cut your expenses. Maybe you need more coaches or better coaches. Maybe you need less coaches. How do you know? Literally, how do you as the affiliate owner know? Because if you knew, I would have suspected that you probably would have solved for that problem. Much the same as like if you realize that your deadlift was low on the fitness continuum, you're going to improve it. But you didn't know what you didn't know until you came into the gym. And that's why we set out to build what we did, because we didn't want to tell you what to do. We wanted to see what you were doing and then help improve from there. You need accountability. Everybody does, in any key area, whether it be nutrition, fitness, business, etc. Like, there needs to be a who for that how for you. But I'm gonna stop talking so Charles can talk, because he keeps getting cut off.
Yeah.
No,
the floor is yours.
Cut off. I mean, like we're very much so like in alignment on the same page, and it's that it's a nicety, not a necessity for so many owners. It's a should rather than a must. It's a I could rather than I absolutely have to. Like Tony and I were talking on the phone earlier today, tracking inventory. Tracking inventory. How many owners really, actually, truly, every time they get an order, review the order with the packing slip, add the proper inventory to their software, know what the actual per unit cost is, and know what like the per unit base margin is? I would venture to guess that's a very small list. And if you want to play the game at ever higher levels, that no longer becomes optional. Taking before and after pictures. Ton of affiliate owners, they do it here and there when they think about it, or when one of their clients has incidentally done it for them. What if you didn't have a choice? What if you had to take pictures of everybody every time? Forecasting expenses. Like you mentioned like the flooring for the gym. It's like you get the $7,000 sticker shocks. You're like, oh my God, $7,000 for a floor? Like Tony's saying, like, dude, $1 in a dream is an affiliate. Like, you're playing business initially at a lower level that is amazing, because like that lets you get your feet wet. That lets you figure out the game of business. There's a whole lot of like could, would, and should, and there's very little like ought to, need to, must type stuff. But forecasting expenses, if you're looking at like flooring for $7,000, like you could probably get away with one aggressive weekend of selling to your clients inside the gym, some like PT, some nutrition, some supplements, some retail, and you could probably really go to your email list of past clients, spend a little bit of time on social, and you could probably pull $7,000 out in like a week if you wanted to, or shorter.
Mm.
What if it was $700,000?
Mm.
What if we start adding commas and zeros, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't not build a lead list. Oh, I can't not follow up with every lead every time until I get either a yes or a no. And you could start playing the game at a higher level with what you've got, and it benefits everybody. It benefits the clients ultimately, like, the accountability where a lot of this conversation started. You're on the other side of it where somebody doesn't come into the gym for 2 weeks and the owners and the coaches are like, yeah, they're probably going to cancel. Why didn't somebody reach out to them the very first time they missed the expected appointment? Because at the levels that we're playing at, in Fit Affiliate for Tony and I, and then for my wife and I in Aesthetic Edit, like, it's not an option. If somebody doesn't show for a consult, they get text, email, and DM for both businesses. Because it's not an option to just be like, they missed their appointment, I guess I'll go and do some burpees. It's like, oh, they missed their appointment, then I don't know how we take that zero, that no-show, and get any closer to 700,000 or whatever, like, the thing is. If you have the goal and you build a plan, then all of a sudden you realize, like, if we want to run this plan to get from here to that goal, these things have to be done. If you need to lose 100 pounds, you can't just be like, maybe I'll work on my diet. If you want to lose 100 pounds, you have to change your behaviors and your relationships with food. There isn't another option. If you want to have an affiliate that becomes a true business that like transcends from hobby to actual organizational operation, like, there's things that just will be an inevitability. You can only fly by the seat of your pants for so long, but the blessing and the curse is that, like, in the affiliate world, you can fly by the seat of the pants and care about very little besides just really being good at coaching, teaching, and training, and that'll take you further in that business than in anything else that I know about.
Systems
you could be the best at doing, systems ensure certainty.
And you have we all know what it's like to sit in that affiliate, and it's so confusing, right? There's so many emotions and people and all these things going on all the time. And like, you're also like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Please don't find this out, right? Like, I know what it's like to be in that spot, and I get it. But here's the thing. You have done, to an undeniable degree, something that is absolutely amazing in that, as an affiliate owner, I would assume you are fit, hopefully. I mean, that's a broad-based assumption, but generally speaking, 99.9% are. And so what I mean by that is that you took easily probably the most overcomplicated, most overconfused, most oversold, obfuscated thing on the planet, which is how to get in shape, and you standardized it. There is not a single person who can come through your door who will not come out that door fitter. That is an amazingly powerful thing, because I can tell you right now that there is about to be millions of people who are going to walk into Golds and Planet Fitnesses and otherwise, and they're going to walk out no more fit. Would they be better than doing nothing? That might even be questionable to some degree, right? And so we know with one thing that you have taken the most complicated thing and you made it a certainty, because you created the systems that ensured for it. That same rule needs to apply to your business. And I get that it's overwhelming. It's like, where do I start? What do I do? That's how you felt until you found .com, right? And you just started following the system, and the system just worked. It was chaotic every single day. It was random. It was varied. You didn't want to do it, but you did it because you believed. Somebody has to apply that same principle to your business. And that person is probably not going to be you, for the same reason why you weren't going to be the person who found fitness for you either. You had to go to the resource. And generally speaking, that requires coaching. That requires somebody to expose you to something that creates awareness so that you will take action and you will pursue that action. And that's why CrossFit wins. It's not because it's better at exercise science. It's not because we do more gymnastics, we do more weightlifting than anybody else. It's because we use those things to engage in or create awareness at a level that is undeniable to any single person who does it. And that makes them take action. And then guess what? They get better for it. Do the same thing with your business. Somebody has to come in and expose you so that you become aware, so you take action.
And that exposure, rather than somebody coming in and saying, here are the templates, here are the systems, just implement all of these and everything will be fine, is very different to having someone come in and go, well, what are the systems you need? What do you want? What does it look like for you? And not
What do
handing
you
you them.
suppose would happen if you walked into a Globo gym with a barbell with bumper plates on and said, all right, everybody, we're going to snatch today? They probably would beat you with that barbell because they have no awareness. If nothing else, they would talk shit about why you're doing that weird thing in the corner when you could just do the thing that they're doing, right? Like they would naturally and instantly attack you. Even if you came in with all the data, all the science, all the research, and you told them why snatching was going to save their life, they'd be like, you look like a fucking idiot. Right? Like they just are going to fight you on it. However, if you got them to come in your gym and then they got exposed to the fact that like this weird froggy looking thing that I don't know how to do is the reason why these old people are beating me in this workout, I'm going to get my shit together. And that's what happens every single day. It's because awareness precedes action. You could never go into a Globo gym and nobody can come in your business and be like, here's what you need. $1,500 upfront offers. You'd be like, listen, Dick, I've been trying to sell $100 offers for the last 3 years and nobody's even bought those. Fuck you. Right? Like, because nobody exposed you to the awareness that like, maybe if you just took what you did and packaged it differently and explained it differently and you changed the experience, they might actually just offer you $1,500. And like right now, if you're listening to this, you're probably like, fuck you, you insensitive asshole. You have no idea what it's like to be me. Well, I can tell you that in one of the smallest communities in the country, there's a client who tripped over the truth, found their own awareness, and they charge even more than that in a population that is well less than 10,000.
Median income is, I think, when we looked last time, 23,750.
And it's a consistent event.
It's not insensitive. It's not excessive rates. It's not all these things that you want to create monsters about. It's that they wanted to pay those rates because they needed to make that investment in their self. Because if they didn't make that money and they only paid $100, you're only going to get $100 of accountability out of them. When they give you $2,000, you're going to get $2,000 of accountability out of them. That's how you save lives. It's not about the money. It's about the accountability. And somebody's got to do that to your business.
Yeah.
But, you know, in that example, they're also earning it. They are not just in a shabby warehouse. They have spent over $50,000 in the last 3 months in renovations and in making it a place that feels a kind of way, that is executed a kind of way. Coaching feedback, coaching follow-up happens continually. They hired somebody from outside of the gym to manage social media so that higher level social media gets done every day. They were unhappy with where they were in their personal life. They were unhappy with where they were in their personal life because of where the professionalism was in the business operation. And so they chose to do the hard thing. They chose to do the thrusters, the snatches, and the muscle-ups so that they could play the game at a higher level. Because that's ultimately how they take better care of better clients. It's ultimately how they take better care of themselves and their families. And the one thing, so Tony and I actually, it's funny that you brought this up since we don't talk about these in advance. Tony and I were talking about a lot of the same stuff on the phone earlier this morning. And so then we know that already the mental gymnastics that a ton of people are having in the middle of this conversation right now is like, well, I wanted to open a gym where I could take care of everybody. I wanted to open a gym where I could offer an experience where anybody that wanted to get fit could get fit. Yeah, you should. That's still the right answer, but this is how you allow that to happen. That's what happened with CrossFit. Hey, you know what? By building this seminar platform where we teach people over the course of 2 days for, at the time, $1,000 per person, that gives us the bandwidth to produce the world's largest fitness media empire that's ever existed. That gives us the bandwidth to shoot free education videos to teach people everything that they need to follow this also free programming. You could be incredibly fit with very, very, very little as a CrossFitter in this ecosystem following this methodology, because something somewhere generated the dollars that made the rest of it possible. And so in building a better experience to serve a higher level client, those are the things that also allow you to have disproportionate reach and impact. Because you can either work with the guy that works in the stock room that's fighting tooth and nail just to pay his bills, or you could work with the guy that owns the company. And you could get him to see a different lens of fitness and exercise existing with a better life, and he could set up a corporate wellness program that all of a sudden allows everybody in the entire company to have access to fitness. And all it takes is a difference in framework and viewpoint, but you can't see that on your own, usually. There are shadows and blind spots, and that's how they work. And so by pursuing playing the game at a higher level to work with higher level problem solving and higher level humans, that actually is how you make it far more accessible to everybody else. It's the only way it works. You can't invert a pyramid, balance it on the tiny little top, and hope that the whole fucking thing happens to just come together well.
But I think some of the yeah, go on, Chuck.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say some of the as CrossFitters, we will notoriously, we will do hard, disgusting things in the gym all the time. We will, kill ourselves in pursuit of a 500-meter row time or a Fran or whatever it is. But when it comes to doing the hard, uncomfortable things in our businesses, we tend to then want the quick solutions. So, company X is going to just give me a template and that's going to solve all my problems. This company is going to get me all my leads I need and that's going to solve all my problems. Versus doing some of this hard, uncomfortable work and being accountable, we tend to shy away from that because we're like, that's the hard stuff. But we don't shy away from the hard, disgusting stuff.
Is it actually harder, uncomfortable, or is it like just, we get lazy?
The thought of it.
We get lazy and we just do the shit that we like. Right. And the thought's actually worse than the exercise. Like that's the big crazy mind fuck about all of it is most affiliate owners will spend weeks putting off following up with a lead list that would only actually take them about an hour and a half to go through. And in that hour and a half, they can produce enough income to get themselves off the coaching floor for 2 weeks. So it's like instead of spending 2 weeks avoiding the task, spend 2 hours on the task and create the freedom on the backside. And it's generally not super hard stuff. And it's generally not super complex stuff. But it's just being willing to, eat the broccoli, drink the water, do the thrusters. But if you don't actually have a goal, and if you're not looking to the future, then it's very easy to make it seem like it doesn't matter. It's easy to drink water and eat broccoli and do thrusters when you're like, fuck, I got a wedding coming up. Fuck, I've got a beach vacation coming up. This is no longer a should. This is now absolutely a must because I have a goal and I know that these are the necessary pieces in order for me to reach the goal.
Yeah. And that's a whole lot different than just waiting for somebody to deliver you the gold-covered tablet of your solution on high. So here you go.
Well, because even if they did, if it's not actually attached to a goal, it doesn't matter. Everybody's like, I want to make more money. I'm like, yeah, cool. Who doesn't? It's like, how much more money on what time frame, through what mechanisms, and why is it important? No, really. Why is it important? No, really. Why does that matter to you, and what difference will it make in your life, your family's life, your client's life, in the world?
I mean, the very nature of this podcast, I think this episode will come across to some people as very much insensitive, and that we're making broad-based assumptions like every other guru and mentor who's telling you got to raise your rates and make more money and all these things. And hopefully it doesn't come across. Hopefully it comes across is very valid and very trustworthy. We don't care what you charge. It's never really been about you need to have a standardized rate that looks like X, Y, and Z. You just have to be able to make more money. Then it's going to cost you to get more. Then it's going to cost you to get a client. And in order for you to provide the level of service that you intend to do, not that you're able to do. And that's where most of you guys are. That's why we need to get you guys to raise your rates. It's not about, you got to climb to the moon or otherwise, but every single affiliate I've ever met with ever has always wanted to provide more for their community than otherwise. In order for you to do that, there is no reality that exists where you making more money per client does not allow you the ability to do more good for everybody than if you're doing it at a minimum. And that's really what it has to come down to. Somebody has to align your intentions, aka I want to help my entire community, and your actions, aka I'm charging bottom of the barrel prices. Those two things need to become congruent. You have to live in alignment with your intentions so that you can actually realize your future. And until somebody asks you, hey, where are you trying to get to? And then that person also assesses what you're doing to move towards that goal, you're probably not going to make any changes because you don't even realize what you're doing in response to yesterday. And therefore, you're never going to move forward for tomorrow. And I understand what it's like to sit, for you guys, and everything seems to be on fire. So the last thing that seems like a logical solution is to sit down and to plan and to set some goals for next year. You're like, I'm trying to survive this one, right? I get that. But if you don't plan, I can assure you next year is going to come in December and it's going to be the same level of fire under your ass. Like, just change the way you project it. But I think it'll be much easier for you if you just truly, honestly, sorry, I'm going to plug this, but if you just book your call and let us help you walk through the framework of where you're trying to get to, and we give you the magic wand, I assure you, even if you don't move forward as a client and we don't invite you to move forward as a client, I assure you, you'll walk out the backside of that with a much more renewed focus on your intentions and your actions, period.
For sure. And there is a link to book that call in our show notes as well, with a discount code. So jump on that.
See that? And systems. They work.
Systems. Yeah. And working
having who's for the house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I talked yesterday, Chuck. It's a really good example, like what you've done with this new venture for you and Vanessa in your medical spa, with the lessons you've taken from the affiliate. Most affiliates we open and we hope to have coaches one day. So you've opened, well, you haven't actually officially opened yet, but you're running, and you're already planning for the staff and interviewing and being at the point you want to be, versus, well, we'll get staff, when we can. And, you've got it laid out beautifully. It's all fully done, not like, well, we're just starting up. So things are a bit, we'll add more lighting when we have more, cash, and, it's a whole different level.
Don't discount yourself from it. And so maybe as somebody listens, and I know like we are at the limit of time, and this might be fun to talk about next week, is we all care a ton, like collectively, the three of us, Lisa, Tony, and Chuck, we care a ton about the affiliates. We care a ton about the mission to really, truly, actually fucking do something to fight the world's most vexing disease. The lessons that you learn in an affiliate, we're trying to give you guys examples that they play out time and time and time again. Lisa's doing it right now in the information business, transacting for multiples of thousands of dollars to help teach people how to manage their mindsets. Tony and I did it in the coaching business, consulting. Vanessa and I are doing it with face-to-face brick and mortar products and services. And if you look at Thriving Minds, if you look at FitFilliate, if you look at Aesthetic Edit, like, you will see so much similarity, but like, they're the lessons that we learned in the affiliate, and they are backwards applicable. And so none of this is like from a different position, but like, we're trying to show you guys that like, it's just like fitness. Once you understand fitness and you build capacity, you can go mountain bike, you can go paddleboard, you can go rock climb, like, you can play whatever game you want. But there's some certain things that you need to do to earn that privilege. And yeah, dude, jump on a call, and you know what? Jump on a call, and don't even come into it with the idea of you being invited to be a client at all. In fact, like next 2 or 3 calls just that come out of this podcast, we won't even get into any of that. We just want to help you understand how the game works, because we want you guys to win. Yep. We really do. The people in your community need it.
Consults aren't sales calls. They never have been, and they never will be. So they're there for you to help you. You still got to be invited for it.
I can vouch for that. It's definitely not a sales call. It's a
literally like you literally can't.
No.
Even if somebody's like, yeah, I want to sign up, well, tough, because systems, We're that thing we talked about earlier. Systems, you can't. You literally can't become a client from a console call. It's not possible. We built it in because it creates a fucked up incentivization structure. Anyway, whatever. We're out of time, but
all right,
dude, we just want to help because
we do
the world needs more affiliates doing better work at a higher level,
helping more people. All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you for your time today. I have loved the chat. Great information. I think that, as always, adds a heap of value rather than just seeking to provoke reactions. So I'll see you on the next one. And as Tony says, go do something useful instead.
Don't follow that. That's actually not next one. It might be one. I don't know.
I was reading. I was like, God, Oso, me thing used full in.
Actually, during the podcast, I thought I should go set up that Instagram account and just see how many people attempt to follow it, just as an exercise. But
that might actually be the new one. Go do something useful instead.
That could be your new hashtag. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
Adios.
Thank you, my friend, for listening to the Fit Affiliate Podcast. If you would be interested in hopping on a free call with us to just kind of chat about what you think your problems are and what you think the gap is between where you're at and where you want to go, we can see if maybe we can help you along that journey, figure out if we're all a good fit to do some sweet things together. So click the link, set up a consult. Let's help you identify some problems that we can mutually solve.